Again. Okay, big shot. Swimming through the riptides from the cliff, but I got love on the twip side. Moves of the day, no rules, just play. Go against me and you'll be losing the day. Moves on the bean, all I do is fillet. Beast need a feast, about to go and got a steak. Lyrics on homie, might go and cop a case. Going with no trace, go get the caution tape. I got sauce in my veins, no flaws in my game. Deep sea thoughts get lost in my brain. I done broke up out the cage. Yeah, I'm the lion untamed. I am the answer, I am the mancer. Not for the banter, I am like Sanders, Deanna Barry. You do not scare me.
I am the answer, I am the mancer. Not for the banter, I am like Sanders, Deanna Barry. You do not scare me.
Welcome back, Visionary Rhetoric, Season 1, Episode 2. Let's just get right into it. First and foremost, I'm doing well. The family's doing well. Life is going well right now. Relatively going well, right? And I choose to make it that way. So to give you a tidbit for the day, I choose to say that my life is going well, even if I don't feel it, because your feelings, they go up and down. It's a roller coaster. Your emotions are a roller coaster. Engage them, especially my men out there. Please engage them. But also, we do need to have some control over them. I don't think you need to over control them. I know some of you as children, as boys, heard "Stop all that crying. Boys don't cry. Suck it up." All that good stuff. And it's not good, but that's just a phrase. All that stuff that was said to us by men and even women who had perpetuated it, because that's how they were conditioned to believe that men were supposed to act based on their father, their uncles, their, male role models in the community that they come from. That's what they were told. So engage your emotions, because I think when your emotions go unengaged, they have the higher chance of becoming out of control. So we have to engage them. We have to accept them. We have to be in them and live with them. We have to acknowledge them. And yes, they do go into decision making. Contrary to popular belief, your emotions go into decision making. They should not control the bulk of how you're creating, or coming up with the decision that you're making. But they do play a part, because we're humans. You cannot get around that, whether you are a man, a woman, a boy, or a girl. Emotions are always going to be a factor in how we decide to move. So that being said, we're going to jump right in. Today we have a pretty interesting episode. And I want to talk about a few things, and I'm going to show some clips as I do it. This is my first time doing it. Bear with me. Hopefully, as I grow, you grow, and we grow together and evolve together. But yeah, let's jump right into it. This first clip is to kind of get an old topic out that I wanted to talk about a little bit. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. And going forward, in the near future, I don't plan on rehashing this at all unless this thing rises back up again and it becomes a thing. I won't really address it too much going forward. But without further ado, I want to jump into my reactions to certain things.
As if Meet the Grams wasn't enough, Kendrick released a song called Not Like Us, which is the catchiest way to call somebody a I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah.
You be dancing to it, forgetting what the song is about.
Facts. And I'm from the East Coast.
And then Drake released The Heart Part 6.
John was like,
and I think that's when he lost. I think because in The Heart Part 6, he's like, this was all part of my plan. We fed you information about me for you to say, so everything that you said is wrong. And don't you feel dumb now that I tricked you? And it just kind of felt like, like what a kid. Okay, like when you play a rock paper scissors, and you do rock.
Yeah.
And the other kid does scissors, and they're like, no, actually, these are lasers.
Yo, this is actually a really hilarious take on the part 6. That's crazy. That's really a hilarious
Because I was
take
like,
on that.
Drake, if it was part of your plan to feed Kendrick information about you for him to rap about very well, by the way, like, like even if those are lies, they do sound good and they sound very true.
It was about
Even
for
if you
sure.
fed him all this information about you to rap about to then look dumb when it was wrong, why'd you send him that stuff? That's the worst stuff you could send somebody.
For sure. I'm never sending
Hey,
somebody
tell
that
him this thing
I got a
about me
secret
that's
kid
not true,
again.
but was true once, and tell him I'm a
Craziness.
thing that no one wants to be.
Yeah. That's that's a hilarious take. But yeah, to his point, you know, I'm just gonna say, like, that was super funny. The whole rock, paper, scissors, shoot thing. I remember growing up as kids, right? Two things would either happen. That would happen where somebody would try to like alter what they threw out, and it would be something that had nothing to do with rock, paper, or scissors. Then people started adding in shoot as an actual gun. So it's like, oh no, shoot. And it's like, I'm shooting. It's like, no, shoot was to throw out the three options that there are in this traditional game that's been played for as long as whatever. I'll look that up and figure that out. But anyway, what he said was true. If what Drake said in the Heart Part 6 was the thing, two things that I'll say, and this, like I said, I don't want to go in on this, and I don't want to continue this conversation unless it comes back up and they re-engage in, you know, a battle again, or they reignite the battle again. What I'll say is, when Kendrick dropped Meet the Grams, Drake went on his story and was like, oh, please show me this secret kid, and he did all this. That was his moment to step on that. You don't wait until after he drops the back-to-back on you like you did to Meek. You don't wait and say, oh, I'm going to wait and I'm going to drop Heart Part 6 after Not Like Us. When Not Like Us dropped and you didn't respond immediately to Meet the Grams, it was over. I personally didn't want to hear Heart Part 6. One, that was just, to me, a dumb move to take such a classic series. And I think Kendrick could still use that series. I don't think it's over for that series. I think he can even name his next Heart 6. Or, if I was Kendrick, I probably would skip it on purpose. Not because Drake did such a great job. He actually did a disservice to that series. But I would skip it and say, we basically don't say 6. It's kind of like how, from my understanding, I'm not in this at all, but from what I've seen and heard and things like that, it's kind of like how Crips don't always replace the C in certain words that have B, right? So, or no, I think I said that wrong. Bloods do that. Bloods replace the C. But yeah, so that whole idea, and he's from that culture that has the gangs in it. Let me go back a little bit. So yeah, if I'm him, I'm not doing the Heart Part 6 maybe because as a to be petty. Like, I would be petty with it. I would be like, nah, Heart Part 7, even though I didn't do 6. But yeah, we're gonna let that live. I want y'all to go back and listen to that. I want y'all to hear that. That whackness that he tried to put out there to try to that he thought was going to step on everything I was doing. I want y'all to hear that, keep that out. I won't even touch it. Plus 6, he could have that freaky, that fan number, related to where he's from. He could have that. I would do something like that. You know what I mean? And so that's how petty I am with it. So I would just go right to the Heart Part 7. And even in the beginning, maybe address in some bars why we ain't do the number, which we not gonna say no more. Like, just kind of being smart about it and keeping it alive. But yeah, Drake tried to step on the Heart series, and that was probably a really bad move for him. Not probably, it was a bad move because that series is so legendary, so iconic. Him doing that, and then what he did. Now, if he started spitting in that joint, and then he had a video where he showed the receipts to what his claims were, that he fed the information, that it was all BS and all that good stuff. Now we talking something different, because now it's, Kendrick was just flat out lying. And now your credibility is in question. And so everything you produced in this battle is questionable now. So even if only one thing was a lie now, just like with the whole Diddy situation, because he was lying about being an abuser towards Cassie, now there's credence to every other thing that was in that court case, that every other thing that has been alleged of him. There's credence to it. I'm not saying it's true, but as a person, when you're a person, you think about it, you're like, wait a minute. So if he lied about that and he was standing on business, standing 10 toes about how he was innocent and they was defaming his character, there's credence to now, and that came out that it was true that he was doing those things. There's credence to it. Just in this scenario is the same thing. So if Kendrick was proven to be just flat out lying, not just Drake saying it, not just academics saying it, not just whoever Drake fans are and whatever they all, try to do to me, but like there's proof that, we fed him misinformation, period. Flat out. You got to give undeniable, unequivocal, I think is a good word to say here too, truth that he's lying. And then when that happens, now we look at Kendrick and say, all right, well, it might have sounded good, but you was lying. You called him a master manipulator and you did the same thing. And let's be clear here. They're both manipulating. All this is a manipulation of the other person's character, whether it's true information or not. It's a shot at, let me make people feel a negative type of way about this person. Let me make people feel like this person just ain't like that. He ain't a cool dude. He ain't the most lyrical. He ain't the most whatever. He's not an upstanding person like he tries to present himself to be. Let me try to take a notch at his character to the point where it may affect how people receive him, or if people want to receive him. Go watch his shows, go hear his music, whatever it is. So, I thought that was a good take though. As far as the whole like rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Oh no, these are lasers. Like that's exactly what the Hard Part 6 was. He summed that up very well. Other interesting thing, he sounds a lot like Donald Glover, early Donald Glover, when Donald Glover did stand up and was on Community and all that stuff. Find that very interesting, but he's actually pretty funny. I'm drawing a blank on his name and it wasn't directly up on the thing. So on to the next thing.
Donald Trump was found guilty on all 34 counts in a huge hush money trial. But can he still run for president? The short answer, yes. Trump meets all constitutional requirements to be the next president. Donald Trump will be sentenced in a couple of weeks and could face time in prison. Already the first in American history to be impeached twice. If elected, he could be the first U.S. president behind bars and would even have the power to pardon himself. The process could drag on for months, even past the November election, making the situation more complicated.
So my response to that is, that's crazy. For the longest time, a few things have happened with people who have felonies. It's hard for them to get jobs, so much so that a lot of small businesses have had to have initiatives where they intentionally seek out people who have felonies. And I love person first language. Sometimes I'm not perfect with it, but I like to say people and then whatever we're talking about that's attached to the people we're talking about. Because at the end of the day, whether they're a felon or not, they're a person. And so we have to humanize people, and we have to talk about them in that way, especially for those who have made mistakes in their life. Now we're talking about a serial whatever, fill in the blank. I won't go into it. A serial person who says, I have no remorse. Now to me, those people have chosen to kind of come out of their personhood. And so they're monsters. And you can think about the top people who are just in that mind frame. They can be considered monsters and treated that way. But when we're talking about people who just have made mistakes or didn't feel they had options and they did certain crimes, whether that be, selling drugs or robbing people, burglarizing people's homes, or whatever it is that they did to get in jail, that they're serving their time, they'll come to an end of that time served and they'll be able to be re-entered. We have to be able to, as a society, we talk about them re-entering into society, but we also have to be in a space where we're ready to receive them back into society. We have to change our mindset. We can't just see, oh, you have a felony, and then that makes the judgment. So I love to start with person who has a felony first. Now I don't know if I'll feel that way about this guy, and maybe that's a bias, but what I'll say is it's crazy. So for the longest in many states, felons are not able to vote. That's starting to change. I know in PA, I think while they're serving, they can't vote. but once they have served their time and they're out, they can. There's other states that their whole sentence is included in that. So probation, parole, whatever is also included in that serving. So you have to finish all that up and then you can be reinstated as a voter. There is, I think, a few states that don't, there was like a few places, states, because I think the Washington, D.C. is one of them where they don't lose their right at all. So I don't know what that means. I didn't go deep dive into that information. But I did see that like a list of the different things and when they lose or if they lose and things like that. Then there's something that's just like it was for a while where a lot of states had it where you just couldn't vote, period. So I think the tide is changing because, again, if we're going to re-enter people into society, we have to give them as much opportunity to gain back, maintain privileges and rights. So if we look at jail time as serving time, then we have to acknowledge that people serve their time, and that is giving them back some of their rights, some of their privileges as Americans, and one of those would be voting. So that's a complicated history. Then we got, like I said, getting jobs, voting, and just your reception in the public, right? So what I see a lot is that people just, they judge people right off of the bat. And they're like, well, you got a felony, so there's just something wrong with you. And it's like, yeah, there's some people and you hang around that you would be surprised at things that they just didn't get caught for, right? That they've done that are maybe even worse than the people who had the felony. Like, and you hang with them, you're cool with them, you tell people that's your friend, but because you don't know what everybody does after they leave you, you don't know that they have engaged in these activities. So I'll say that, and I'll say, so let's just try to be better as a society and try not to judge too harshly, and then like they have to get back into society. They got to work. They got to do these things. So we have to just stop like treating people who have felonies that like, oh, well, we don't want you to work here. We don't want you to. It's like, well, how are you going to make sure that they don't? How are you going to play a part? How are you going to be able to play a part in them not returning to a life of crime if you're not willing to give them the opportunity to work and make a living and change their options? So I say all that to say it's crazy that he's still going to be able to run. It's crazy that he might very well, like, there's a big chance because Biden's not really that convincing. I don't care what anybody says. I know there's some career Democrats who are so beholden to the party and who and I won't say it's out of ignorance either. I think they see that Biden's not the greatest option, but because there aren't any other options presented and the only other alternative would be for Trump to be in office, there's this idea that you just got to vote for your best interest, which is just like the lesser of two evils, which has been the case since Hillary was running after Obama, right? So, and then Obama's response to this genocide in Palestine and Gaza, and all the things that are just, seemingly looking like an ethnic cleansing and not a war on terrorism, which, America and other countries love to lean on, this war on terror as a reason why it's okay to go bomb people in a region. We're talking about a group that has harassed these people who they ethnically relate with, but they have harassed these people. I know people who are from Palestine and talking to them, and they're losing family members and friends at a high clip. And so it's disingenuous to say, oh, this is all because of October 7th. It's so disingenuous to say that. It's not. Because none of this has been strategic in a sense of, if you're chasing a terrorist organization, I'm not even mentioning it, I'm not giving it a highlight, but if you're chasing a terrorist organization, you should be pinpointed. You shouldn't be blowing up whole communities, people's civilians' homes and things like that. America would not, and I would think, when it comes to who they consider to be the most American, they would not accept somebody saying, I'm going to blow up this whole town because of something a percentage of the group has done, and then say that's just what it is, but we're going after the one group, these are just casualties of war. And it's like, that doesn't make any sense. And I said that very carefully because there was Move in Philly. So we've seen where they've done it to certain people. That's why I said it the way I said it. I'm not saying I agree with everything that Move represented or the things that they did. Maybe representation and what they do is two different things, right? Because we're people. Sometimes what you represent and what you believe may not align with what you do, because as people, we are complicated in that way. So what I'll say is I don't know enough about Move to know the people that were living there and what they were about and things like that. So I'll do my research and learn a little more. And again, I'm open to saying, oh, you know what? Maybe I do agree with a lot of what they were doing, but I definitely don't agree with what the action that was taken against them was. And you see it, right? That's why injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere, right? So you can't just pick and choose like, well, that's not happening. Because I see that conversation happening, particularly in the black community. Why are you so invested in Palestine? And then they go into, why do you bring up, the Congo, Rwanda, Uganda, whatever, they go into naming all these things, and it's like, we can walk and chew gum at the same time, right? And if you look at our leaders historically, our leaders have been invested, particularly in Palestine as well. We've seen Palestine do protests and support of us, Black Lives Matter. And when I say Black Lives Matter, I'm not talking the organization again. I know people like to pick stuff apart. I'm not talking the organization because, again, I don't know the people who are running it and what their maybe ulterior agendas might be. But the concept of Black Lives Matter, as in we matter, and you're going to acknowledge that. And we're going to keep telling you until you acknowledge it consistently. I agree with that concept. I don't know enough about the organization to say that I agree with all they do and what they stand for. So, and that's what anything, organization, person that I mention on this, at any given point, I'm not giving a full, carte blanche support, like, here, just, I agree with them wholeheartedly, I stand with them. I'm not giving that. But there are pieces that I can say, oh, I agree with that. Okay, I understand that concept. I agree with that. And that's the whole point of what I'm saying right now. But yeah, my whole thing is, nobody, Bernie Sanders, former President Barack Obama, rest in peace to his mother-in-law, Michelle Obama's mother. We were excited when they were in office, when Barack was in office, and the family, the Obama / Robinsons, as in her mother, were in the house, in the White House. We were so excited about that, and I still look at that as a monumental moment of my life, one that I look at favorably. But I gotta say, I'm disappointed at Barack Obama's response, right? And he probably, I don't know if he cares as much, but he's in a different realm, a different stratosphere. But I have to say that somebody who was very vocal in support of him, definitely disappointed in his response to what's going on in Gaza, and things of that nature. I think they dance around, and again, I left a post under his post that he made like yesterday, and I said, I don't know if the IDF has something on y'all, or I don't know what is going on, because nobody has directly said that this is a heinous act. This is a genocide. This is ethnic cleansing from one group to another group that they're trying to get rid of. Because that's what it really is. Like, if you're watching, if you have eyes and you're being honest with yourself, that's what's really happening here. Right? And so I don't know what it is. I don't know what, like I said, if they have something on the American government as a whole to where there's a hold of like, yeah, you got to support us, or this is going to come out and then we'll share this and this will just blow up your whole whatever that you think you got going on. I don't know. I can only assume that that may be the case because nobody is calling it what it is. Nobody is calling it what it is. Nobody would accept a person going and killing a whole family. People have done it, I assume, especially in the street life or with the mob era, mafia era, and all that kind of stuff, and gangs all over the world. People have done it, but it's not something. It's something that's looked at as unethical to make a family pay for the price of an individual. So that's to break it down into a smaller thing. So nobody would ever say that it was okay to do that. So why is it okay to make an ethnic group pay for the price of, like, pay the price of what a portion of their group has committed or done that was egregious? Why is that okay? Why is that being glossed over? Why is that being funded? Why are tax dollars being used from America to fund that? If anything, there should have been an effort to really get to a place where this didn't break out that way. But it was just like, well, whatever they want to do, we're just funding it. So I don't understand how we got here, where this particular group can just get unquestioned, full support from America, no matter what they're actually doing, right? So, yeah, I don't want to harp too much on that, but yeah, the whole Trump thing, kind of go back to that, craziness. So, if he gets in, he's going to be the FOTUS, felon of the United States. Felon of the United States. That's going to be FOTUS. And a lot of y'all are going to be upset about that, but yeah, I don't know. All I can do is smile, like it's a weird place to smile, I guess, but sometimes you just got to like roll with the punches. And I'll just tell you, I don't know. We'll see. At the one point it said he could pardon himself, or, he would have, possibly the opportunity to pardon himself. He's going to, if he gets into office, he's pardoning. He's going to have a party, pardoning himself. And I don't know what else he might do, but just the fact of pardoning yourself, just that idea, that's inappropriate too. That's unethical. Like, of course you would pardon yourself. Anybody would. Everybody would go on record to pardon themselves if they were convicted of a crime that they didn't want to be associated with or serve the time for. Any person who's convicted of a felony and is serving time, say currently, would love to have the power to be able to, I'm pardoning myself, I'm out of here. So I don't know. I think it's interesting that, everyday normal people who are felons have so much of a difficult time getting a job, taking care of themselves, taking care of their families and things of that nature. But this dude gets to run for like what would be considered the highest office in the land. And possibly, there's a chance that he gets it. I'm over the emotional roller coaster that is like recent politics. So like the last, say, 8 years or 10 years maybe. And I'm over that. Like, I think at one point I was very emotionally invested, but then I realized like what's going to happen is going to happen. And at the end of the day, like, I serve God. I don't like, man, it's cool. I guess you respect and honor. The word does tell us to respect and honor, authority and leadership and things of that nature as a symbol of who we are and whose we are, in a sense of being in control of yourself. And honoring a person, even beyond their honorability, right? We'll see. I think a lot of people support him who he doesn't really care about beyond getting the vote. So I think hopefully y'all have a wake up call and y'all realize, like, if you're like working class and poor, he's not in your corner in reality. He may give you a couple crumbs to make you feel like it, so you can go and yell at me and everybody else who doesn't think he's a good option. But if you really, really look at it, he's for the best interest of himself first, period. He plays the whole America first thing. I'm trying to make America great again. I'm trying to make, get America back to the right. Trump is about himself, period. First and foremost, always and forever. That's who he has always showed us he was. So I don't know why y'all think all of a sudden he's the people's champ. He ain't been with the people. He ain't been connected to the people in a very long time. So let's not mince words with that. There's that. And then the other part of that is, yeah, he gonna give more benefit to wealthy people because he's in that group too. So whatever he does for them will also be for him. So he's a part of that group. We saw that he's unethical, right? We saw that. He got, found guilty of the hush money stuff and, the whole fraud thing, I think, is still looming. I think that case is still happening. I think that was a separate case. Again, I'm always open to correction, to letting me know what the real deal is or whatever. I'm never like 100, like way off, right? I'm not the type dude that's sitting up here talking about the firmament. But at the same time, my information might be a little off because I like to shoot from the hip. I'm not sitting here with a bunch of stuff prepared. I got these videos that I show, and that's pretty much what I'll do. But if you want to correct me on that, let me know. Next thing.
The wreckage.
Because if you know how much
Billionaires
that costs,
attempting to see the Titanic wreckage just 1 year after OceanGate's failed submarine expedition. Real estate agent Larry Connor wants to prove the safety surrounding deep sea diving by traveling 2.3 miles in a two-person vessel, estimated to cost $20 million. There's no word on when the Triton 4002 Abyssal Explorer will make the voyage. This news comes 1 year after 5 people were killed when OceanGate's Titan submarine imploded on its journey down to the wreckage.
all I'm gonna say is that's billionaire problems. So I'm gonna say, no, it's not. Y'all know I wasn't gonna stop there. Why? Tony Baker did this, John. He said, why are you going to see a failure? Like, we usually go to see monuments of success and greatness. Why are these billionaires so eager to go see a failure? I don't understand it at all. But guess what? That's billionaire problems. Because guess what? I don't even have the option to say, hey, I want to go down and see the Titanic. I wouldn't. I have too much respect and reverence for the ocean and for the galaxy. I don't have any desire in me to go to either depth or height. I don't have that desire. But these billionaires, they just want to, they're so like eager. Like, I got to do it. And you know what it comes from? You know where I think it comes from? This is my thought on this. I think it comes from like the age old, the idea of like manifest destiny. Like, I got to go see it, right? This is such, uncharted territory. I got to go see this. Because if I can go see this, one, I got a story. If I go see this and I'm successful, I think the idea of being successful on this trip is so great that they're willing to risk their lives. I'll say that again. The idea of being successful taking this trip is so great that they're willing to risk their lives taking this trip. And honestly, like I said, it's billionaire. And they're willing to spend their money and risk their lives to take this trip. And it's all for the sake of like this idea of like going back to being like, I guess, explorers, like Lois and Clark. And so, can I be the one that gets down to see it and get back on a successful trip? And then it becomes like, I'm an icon. And then either way, you kind of like get looked at, especially like this guy. He's going to be looked at as a legend anyway, even if he's not successful. And we know what that means because we saw OceanGate. He's going to be looked at as more of a legend because he decided to do this in the face of that. So people are going to say, man, he's such a legend. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah. Like it's like, it's cool. I don't need to see that. I don't even care. Like, he won't be a legend to me. Like, honestly, I'll just think like with all that money to be so foolish It's interesting. It gives you a kind of thing to think about. Like, money isn't everything. Like, I'd rather have wisdom than money, because wisdom would tell you behind not to get in that vessel and go to those depths, because it was not meant for us to do that. That's just my belief. Something's just not meant for us to do, and it's okay. It's okay to be in awe and in wonder of something. But to do this over a failed thing, to me, is like a waste of money, time, and it's a foolish risk of life. And I know people are going to say that's why he's a billionaire, because he's willing to take risks. We got to do better risk assessment. Taking a risk in the stock market or in the business realm is a lot different than risking your life to go see a failed vessel that failed and sank to the bottom, right? Just go watch. If you really want to, Tony Baker said, he said, go watch the movie. They did a whole movie on this. Did a whole movie. It's over 2 hours long. Touted as one of the, I think, greatest movies of all time. It's up there as far as like the success of it when it came out. I don't know how people feel about it artistically, but it's definitely a movie that's popular. So if you want to go see it, go see it. You can go see it sink. You can see all this stuff. You can see the diamond and necklace thing and all that you want to see. Go see it. Go see it. I don't know. Y'all burning me out. Y'all billionaires burning me out. If y'all don't want y'all money, just listen. Send it. I'll pay off my student loans, pay my house off. Y'all don't want y'all money, just send it. This is just like a slap in the face too. Like, y'all would rather waste your money taking these trips that I don't think we're supposed to get to these spaces anyway. But that's another conversation. You'd rather do that for the sake of, if there's a chance that I'm successful, that I become a legend, than to say, like, you know what? Let me just go find like 100 different people and pay off their student loans. Like y'all don't get a thrill out of that. I guess that's because like that's not something, like, you would be a legend if you took, let's say, if you took more than 100 people, you know, as a multi-billionaire, and say, I'm gonna pay off your student loans. You got a house? No. I'm gonna give you money to buy a house, and I'm not gonna think twice about it. And or if you have a house, I'll pay your house off for you. Imagine that. Imagine if billionaires had the mindset of what they say Mansa Musa did when he crippled economies because he was giving out gold. Imagine if billionaires had that mindset that, like, man, that gives me a rush to do that. Like, gives me a rush. But guess what? Some of y'all poor and working class folk are going to see this and look at me and say, that's lazy. You should pull yourself up by your own bootstraps and go get you $1 billion. All that motivational stuff y'all say, and y'all sitting right at the same level as me, maybe even below me financially. And I don't say that to brag. What I'm saying is, y'all talk like that, like y'all know me, like y'all know that I'm just like this lazy dude, or anybody who thinks like me. My thing is, you don't need multi-billion dollars to have a good life and to pass a hefty legacy off. Yo, imagine if billionaires got together as a council and said, you know what? We've done a lot of exploitation to get here. We stepped on a lot of people. We've left a lot of people behind. People have even maybe been unalived under our structures and stuff like that. Imagine if they said, yo, you know what? We're going to start a council, and we're going to really get to the point where we start really, helping people out in a real way. So you know what? Every year, we're going to give X amount of money to this pot to pay off the student loans, so that's not a thing. Because what's going to happen is, as these billionaires who tend to be baby boomers, maybe Gen X, some later generations, closer, more recent, but the billionaires tend to be from those generations. As y'all start to die, right, you're leaving this money to your family, so your children, nieces, nephews, depending on your situation, if you had kids, whatever it is, you're going to see you're leaving not just money as a legacy, but you're also leaving resentment. You're leaving your children to deal with resentment about how they're going to be living versus how the rest of the world will be living. And so maybe they'll wise up and say, you know what? I really only need X amount of money to be successful. As far as to live a happy life, to feel content is a better way of saying not success, but to be content. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and start giving this money away. I'm gonna go ahead and start paying these loans off to my peers who have student loans that are not like me, who have parents that could pay for it, or I was legacy to these schools, so I got to go for free, even though I didn't need to be able to go for free. That's a whole nother thing why rich people or famous people always get free stuff when they can afford it, but that's a whole nother thing. Anyway, yeah, no, leave that stuff alone. If you want to waste your money, I would say, if you actually want your money to go to good use, come help out some of us working class folk. Come help us combat this inflation, these interest rates, whatever it might be. Good working class people who went to college, who got certificates, who got trades, who got whatever, and are doing decent things in life, and who are spending some of their or a lot of their time helping people. Their careers are helping people in whatever way. So, if you're a billionaire and you happen to see this, help us out. Don't invest in this stuff that, has a high percentage of failing and you not being here. Why don't you do something good and change the narrative about the hearts of people who have multi-millions, hundreds of millions, and billions of dollars, right? So, yeah, that's my thought on that. Completely wrong.
Mama said that it was okay. Mama said that it was fine.
It's not funny. It's not funny. It's not funny. Yeah, that's on completely wrong. And here we go. Heiress to, Hilton. Paris Hilton, heiress to, the Hilton brand and all that, and wealthy. Probably multi-billion, I think. Off top, I don't know. I don't have that. Like I said, I'm not really looking to do this kind of stuff in the sense of having like all the stats and data and stuff. But we know Hilton brand, Paris Hilton, multi-millions, hundreds of millions and billions of dollars. This family been rich since that's all you can say. This family been rich since. But for those who can't see what I just played, basically there's these flotation devices. I got 2 toddlers, so we have these. And the main part of it that holds the 2 arm floats together, it's one rig, I should say. So there's the arm float part of it, and then there's the body float. The body float part is supposed to go across the chest, and then they put the arms in. She had it on across the back. Now, to her credit, she's in the pool with her child. I've been to pools where I've seen people not in the pool with their child because they felt like they had on that rig. That's not the way to go. Safety-wise, always be in the pool with your child, period. Because it can slip off. Let's just say it fails. Whatever. You want to be right there with them. Even if you're allowing them to swim around and get comfortable with the water, at least if you are able to reach out and grab, you're right there. And that's really, to me, rule of thumb of being in any kind of body of water with your child. Because think about it, even when you're in the tub, which is the probably most shallow body of water that your children interact with, you ain't walking away. You're sitting right there with them. You're washing them up. You're doing your thing when they're toddlers. So much more in a pool. When you got a toddler, they could be less than 3 feet. You don't want them to be in a pool by themselves. So she is so y'all that can't see, y'all only listening to it, she is with her child. She's holding him. He's not ever at any point in the water by himself. She has her hand. So kudos to her for that. But she does have it on the wrong way. And, people like to nitpick. I'm not going to nitpick too much, but I will say it does pay to really pay attention to how these safety devices, whether they be flotation devices, whether they be helmets, to the instructions that come with them so that you can properly secure your child. Even the instructions that come with car seats. I know we think, especially as parents that have multiple children, you just think like, I know what to do with a car seat. But you might have been doing it wrong the whole time because you could be doing it based off of how your parents did it, and your parents could have been doing it wrong. I can tell you for a fact our parents was probably doing it wrong because back in the day they didn't have a lot of engagement around that. It was just kind of like figure it out or word of mouth, and that's not always the best. So it's good now because I think like with social media, there are more people who are passionate about things, so they really take time to learn about them and things like that. So yeah, while it may be concerning that the thing was on the wrong way, again, kudos to Paris Hilton for being in the water with her child. For many reasons, the interaction piece of it, but just the safety piece of it as well. But yeah, make sure you're looking at how these safety devices actually work, so you don't end up on the internet and people judging you crazy. I won't judge her. I actually had a judgmental thought, because she's wealthy, and so I wanted to say something, but I think I said a lot of that in the last thing about the submarine trying to go down to the, him saying, in the face of OceanGate, I'm going to still do this and I'm going to be successful. Like, I already said what I had to say about billionaires as far as what they need to be doing. So I'll say kudos. It's not easy being a parent. So I like to refrain. And y'all could hold me accountable too. Hold me accountable. I want to refrain from judging parents because it's not easy. Right. So yeah, that's all I'll say. This next clip is one of my favorites. It's related to the topic I did in the first episode about Bronny and nepotism and all that. It's my favorite, and my view of this is actually going to probably surprise you, and it might make you upset. It might, grate against your soul.
Everybody look like, everybody look like, everybody look like, this is my life.
She about to go in. No, keep watching. I love North. She marches to a beat of her own drum. Yeah. Go ahead. You hit that. So, of course, y'all have seen that clip, and some of y'all are probably like, she only got it because of her mom and her dad, or because of her grandmom, or whatever. Y'all had y'all thoughts or whatever. I want to say, so what? Again, so what? So what? Why is it bothering you so much? We've seen nepotism and particularly in the entertainment industry for a long time. You've seen people in movies and in roles like, what? Why did they get that movie and role? Oh, this movie would have been way better if they would have chose so and so and so and such and such. This movie would have been way better if they would have had. We've seen it, and nobody really says much outside of what I just said. There are people, this is a girl, a child, and there are people who are going in on, and the funny thing is, one of the people that commented on it, and that's by accident, actually two of the people that commented on it. Yeah, don't think I'm coming at you. This is just my thought on like scrolling through the comments on here. I'm not coming at you personally, so please don't think so. And you know who you are because you'll see, if you watch this video, you'll see yourself there. And no, I'm not speaking or directing this towards you. I just want to make that clear because I feel like people can be offended, and rightfully so if you don't know. A lot of times offense comes out of not knowing the intention behind what's going on. So that's a good little pause point. But to go back to what I'm saying, I don't have a problem with it because we've watched it be done for other groups of people in Hollywood, in business, in education. We've watched it be done. Now we starting to see black and brown folk be able to do it. Last episode, I talked about Bronny and being able to get opportunities for the NBA based on who his dad is and the name his dad built. Good. I wish more of us could do it. The problem is they got us, I said it, they got us believing that as black people, brown people, particularly black, let's stay with the black community, we're all shades from light skin all the way up to very dark skin. They got us believing that it's not appropriate for us to enact nepotism, for us to pull strings, for us to use our network in a way that we can get people in the rooms that maybe they aren't prepared for. And that's okay. She'll learn from this experience. But it's an experience. I get it. Other kids auditioned, and I saw the audition. You know, of course, the people went and found it. People love doing their little deep dives when it's something they want to stand against, right? Just a minute ago, when he was saying MAGA or wearing the hat on every interview, y'all was all Kanye'd out. But all of a sudden now, it's not fair. Again, y'all the same people that will say straight up, life ain't fair. It is what it is. Move on. Y'all do that. And now all of a sudden, because this privileged brown girl got an opportunity that y'all don't think she was skilled enough to have, now all of a sudden, oh, it's not fair. That's not right. The other people, they've been practicing their whole lives. This is their passion. This is what they do. How do you know this ain't her passion? Just because you don't think she can sing well doesn't mean it's not her passion, right? Just because you think she can't sing well doesn't mean it's not her passion. She might be passionate about acting. Maybe this was a intentional step out of her comfort zone. Maybe she's more into acting, but this might have been an intentional step out of her comfort zone to add singing, being a part of a musical, an iconic musical. And the original singing voice of Simba, I think his name is Jason Weaver. We know who you are. I know who he is, but sometimes you forget. But Marcus, as they used to say on Smart Guy, Marcus, that's how his pop used to say his name. But yeah, he was like, yo, like, it was an honor to share the stage with her. It's an honor to see her do that, whatever. So if the person who did it originally and who can sing, Jason Weaver can flat out. We know he can sing. Ain't that what y'all like to say? Sing. He be singing. But he gave her props. It's a kid. No matter how you look at it. And there will be opportunities. What's for you is for you. Obviously, this wasn't for them. That's just how it works. Y'all understand it. Y'all understood it for years and years and years. But now, and it's funny, the two people who are getting what we would consider, and we don't know what this, maybe they wanted to go with her. Maybe it was influenced by Kim Kardashian and saying like, yo, if we put her in, now we get the support and maybe, the funding, they'll be donating and all that. Maybe that was a play, but that means one hand washed the other. So they still had to earn her being in the position, let's say, even if that did happen. I don't know if that happened, but some of y'all will assume that happened. So I just brought it up. But yeah, I don't have a problem with it. I maybe one day I'll have a name enough where my kids will get opportunities that maybe in the eyes of the public they're not worthy of. And I'll tell them straight up, I built this, in Jesus' name. We built a good name, and people want to be in proximity to us. And so that's going to give you opportunities. Now, what you do with that opportunity, who you help with that opportunity, is what's going to set you apart from other people who have privilege. Because like I said about the billionaire, they'd rather throw money into a submarine at the chance of becoming a legend, making it somewhere that another submarine didn't make it, instead of saying, you know what, let me become a legend by paying off these student loans, paying off people's houses, buying, helping people buy houses, making sure people have gainful employment, making sure that nobody's hungry, that doesn't, just choose or have a situation where they're in a position where they're putting themselves, like if somebody has mental health issues, of course you might not be able to make sure that they're not hungry because they may not be in the mental space to make sure that they're not hungry. That's a whole different situation. Again, I just like to try to cover bases that pop in my mind that somebody could try to throw and be like, well, you can't, the super capitalists that think they are, like if you're working class, you're not a capitalist. I'm sorry. You're not. And that's the reason why I don't understand how you support somebody who is really a capitalist, like $100 billion, and you think you're a capitalist like that. You're not. You'll probably never, and this is not a negative thing. You won't. The system's not designed for a bunch of us to get to that realm. It's designed for us to think we can get there, work our behinds off, while the same group of families continue to just build on our backs. We work harder. This is not a meritocracy. I'm just letting you know that it's not a meritocracy. It's not. They elevate certain people so they can point to them. They give Barack Obama the opportunity to become president. He gets voted in so that they can say racism doesn't exist because, look, Barack Obama was the president. They got Jay-Z and the other billionaires, and they make sure that Forbes make sure oh, look, this is what they're worth. Michael Jordan, even Bron. So that when you say that there's an issue financially in our community, oh, well, look, something wrong with you because look at LeBron. Look at Michael Jordan. Look at Jay-Z. Let's go to somebody who kind of came up a little bit, from a normal standpoint, and you don't need necessarily like super ability athletically to get there. Look at these people. And then they'll show you other people. Well, look at this millionaire. Look at that millionaire. Look at it. So it's you. There's something wrong with you. And they make being working class and poor this moral corrupt place. Like if you're poor or working class, it's because there's something wrong. You have poor character. And we're starting to see after event after event are people who we looked at as top tier because they were wealthy. And we see them as wealth is like a symbol of hard work when in reality it's more a symbol of exploitation. And I know some of y'all are not going to hear that. But wealth is more of a symbol of exploitation than it is hard work. It's the reality. Nobody with their own hands in reality can amass hundreds of millions of dollars. You need exploitation. And all exploitation is the idea of low cost, high profit. Pay low, keep my profit high. So even if I raise the cost of the product, I'm not raising the pay of those who are part of the production. And I'm going to stop right there with that one. But yeah, those are the things that I wanted to go over today. I want to do that kind of thing, kind of looking at current events and just talking about them, giving my idea. And, some of it, or a lot of it, I would say a good portion of how I speak will come from a visionary standpoint. So like even when I talked about the billionaire spending money on a sub after a sub already failed going there. And so to me, it's a waste of time. It's a waste of money and resources. It's a waste of just your abilities that you can offer to society, rather than saying, let me pay off these student loans and become a legend that way. Let me pay these student loans off and become a legend that way. They don't think like that. But again, that's it for this episode. Thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe, correct me, hold me accountable. Like I said, I don't want to get into judging parents. Like that's one thing you could definitely hold me accountable with. If you hear me making a judgment about another parent, even if it's a celebrity, just check me, because that's not what I really want to put out into the atmosphere as far as that goes. Because like I said, I'm a parent and I'm not perfect 4 years in, and I know I've made mistakes as a parent. All I'm looking to do is progress, evolve, become better. And that comes with understanding of my children and knowing who they are individually, and then knowing who I want us to be collectively as a family, and being able to interact with my wife and commit or redirect our intention and our focus. Again, this is going to be fun. I'm enjoying it already. Again, I'll continue to grow and things will start to look different ways and look that way, and doing this thing. And as I learn all of the stuff that I'm doing, may have my bro Wayne come in and help me out with some of the engineering stuff real time, which will be cool, because then I'll have somebody to bounce stuff off. Like I have a mic here for him when he's able to do that, so he'll actually be able to chime in off camera, and maybe sometimes he might join me on camera as he's doing his engineer thing. His main focus will be the engineer part of it, but he might join me on camera. And yeah, so that's it for this episode. Like, comment, share, subscribe, please.